A little over 5 years ago, Sigma caused quite a stir when they released their 35mm f1.4 art lens. Since then, we've seen an ever-growing expansion of their art, contemporary and sports line lenses. However, there's one of the most popular focal length lenses that Sigma haven't actually released yet, a 70-200. So in recent years, Sigma have been gaining praise hand over foot for their art line prime lenses. They've got the 14-1.8, then they've got the 20, the 24, the 35, the 50, and the 85 1.4s, and then the 135 1.8 as well. All of these are renowned for having image quality and build quality on par or better than the main manufacturer's kind of lenses, but for a much cheaper price. They've also released some very noteworthy zoom lenses. We have the 18-35 f1.8 for crop sensors, and then we have the monstrous 120-300mm f2.8. Now, I own 5 of Sigma's lenses, and there's no doubt they are great lenses. And there are rumours that Sigma are working on a 70-200 f2.8. So would I be buying one if they release it? No. Why, might you ask? Well, Sigma have this inherent trait. They're very, very good at making prime lenses, whether they are versions of lenses that are already out on the market by other manufacturers, likes of their 24, 35, 50, 85 and all, or whether they're the kind of lenses that no one has ever dared venture to before, the likes of their 21-4 or their 14-1.8. However, when it comes to zoom lenses, Sigma have a bit of a problem. If they try and produce a lens that nobody else has made, they seem to do a very good job of it. Their 18-35 f1.8 is one of their most popular lenses for crop sensor cameras. Their 24-35 f2 was a lens that nobody was expecting, and while it wasn't particularly popular because of the very restrictive zoom range, it did at least offer you essentially 3 primes in one lens. And then there's the 120-300 f2.8. Now this thing is an absolute monster of a lens and will break your back if not carried correctly. Trust me, I know. However, it's the only zoom lens on the market with a 2.8 aperture that zooms beyond 200mm. So while the image quality isn't as good as, say, the 300mm primes from Canon or Nikon, it does at least give you the versatility of having a zoom range. However, when Sigma ever venture into a zoom lens that is popular on the market already, they never seem to be able to master it. Some years ago, they released the 24-105 f4, which is pretty much exactly the same as the 24-105 from Canon. Now, the problem with Sigma's version was that it didn't really offer you anything that the Canon didn't already do. So in terms of image quality, the Canon and Sigma were pretty much on par. In terms of price, there wasn't a lot to pick. In terms of weather sealing, this had it, the Sigma didn't. The Sigma also used a larger 82mm front filter rather than the very popular 77 from the Canon. So overall, the Sigma just didn't actually gain in any ground over what Canon were offering. And even if you were shooting on a Nikon, you still had the 24-120 from them rather than the Sigma anyway. Then Sigma most recently released the 24-70 f2.8 with image stabilization, which everyone thought was going to be an absolute masterpiece of a lens, but doesn't seem to be the case. Tamron are now on their second version of a 24-70 with stabilization, and their G2 model seems to be, in all intents and purposes, better. So even though the Sigma offers you something that the Canon doesn't in having that image stabilization, the Tamron seems to be able to offer it even better. Now, generally, a 70-200 f2.8 is considered one of the must-have lenses for a keen photographer. So it would make sense that Sigma tries to update their old 70-200 with a newer version to try and break back into that market. However, I suspect we're not going to see anything worthwhile, because Canon and Nikon both produce already fantastic 70-200 lenses. So I think Sigma could produce a 70-200 that would maybe rival the image quality. However, another key factor of a 70-200 lens is its autofocus. And generally, any third-party lens does not focus as well or as fast as the native manufacturers. And given the prices that you can now pick up second-hand Canon and Nikon 70-200s, I think even if Sigma do go ahead and release a 70-200, I don't see why people would pick that over a second-hand native manufacturer's lens. But what do you guys think? Would you consider a 70-200 from Sigma if they announced it? Leave your comments down below, let me know what you think, and until the next video, I'll see you later.